On the line with us is Senator Jeff Merkley, my senator, one of my two senators. Merkley.senate.gov is the website. Sen Jeff Merkley is the Twitter handle. And Senator, welcome back to the program.
It's great to be with you.
Thank you for doing such a marvelous job representing this state and our nation. You are just absolutely one of the best. You've got a big drug pricing bill rolling out. Tell us about this.
Oh, absolutely. Well, we're just being completely ripped off here in the United States of America, where we fund the research on which a lot of the new drugs are developed, and yet we pay more than the Canadians or the Europeans or the Japanese for those drugs. And why should that be the case? We've done the upfront investment. We should get at least as good a deal here in America as elsewhere around the world. So my bill basically says you can't charge more in America than the median price in a group of 11 major countries that have these drugs available.
Wow. What kind of support do you have? How do you see this playing out?
Well, we're just rolling out the bill today, and we're going to build support over the break and reintroduce in the new Congress, hopefully with a whole team behind us. Yeah. But I must say this whole concept is based on that. The discussion is often, well, let's have Medicare negotiate the price of drugs. And I love that idea. I've supported that idea. But that only affects the drug prices for folks who are essentially 65 and up. Right. Why shouldn't everybody in America get a fair deal? And so this is a fair deal for all low drug price act.
So basically what you're doing is, I mean, all those other countries that you named have national health care programs. They're all negotiating prices with the drug companies. These are prices at which we know that the drug companies can make a good profit because they continue to sell into these markets, and they're also probably the lowest prices that you can negotiate for reasonable quantities of drugs. And so by aggregating these countries together and coming up with the median or the average price, basically you're letting them do the negotiating for us.
That's correct. We're piggybacking on that, and the advantage of that is we get out of the situation of kind of insider negotiations and corruption that can inhabit the relationship between powerful drug companies and the government. Right. So let's take, for example, Lantus, a diabetes drug. The U.S. price is about $373 per unit, but the price under this bill in these countries, the median price would be $62. 373 versus 62. A hell of a lot better deal for Americans.
Wow. We were talking on this program a couple of days ago about these two mothers who went to, I think it was Sanofi, or I'm not sure how to pronounce the company's name, but this big drug company that is one of the larger manufacturers of insulin in the United States. And they had raised their price from $25 or $50 per whatever it is, up to $300 to $500. And in both cases, their young adult children, diabetics, type 1 diabetics, were cutting their insulin doses because they literally could not afford to buy at the level that they had to have. And they both died as a consequence of it. These two women tried to deliver the ashes of their children to the company. And the company, of course, called the police. I shouldn't say, of course. The company shamelessly called the police and had them, escorted out. But this is, I mean, there's real world consequences to this stuff that you are taking on. This isn't just about, hey, I got ripped off at the drugstore.
Well, our statistics show that of those families who are taking prescriptions, 80% of them are doing some form of reduction in their pills, cutting their pills in half or something of that nature, and so it's a huge impact, and so it's a stressful system, it's an expensive system, and it's where Americans are essentially paying a massive tax to support our drug companies that the rest of the world doesn't pay. The rest of the developed world, these are prosperous nations that are reference nations like Canada, France, Germany, Australia, the Netherlands, Japan, Italy. If they can get the drug for $62, we shouldn't be paying $373. Or take a cholesterol drug, Crestor, that is $216 here in the U.S. It's $27 under this bill. Wow. Almost a tenth of the price. And so, and this continues through a whole list. I mean, we know we've been overpriced because we know when the Veterans Administration negotiates, they get a much better deal than Medicare does. But really, we're paying more everywhere. It's a massive driver of the increase in healthcare costs. We had this examination over a 6-month period of how many drugs went up in price and how many went down. And essentially for everyone that came down a little bit, because sometimes the administration says, well, we got a number of drugs that have come down in price. For everyone that came down, almost 100 went up.
Wow. Wow. Yeah, I'm not at all surprised. So if people want to call their senators and support your legislation, what should they say? They
should say the Low Drug Price Act. That makes a lot of sense. We shouldn't be ripped off here in America. Please join the bill.
Senator Jeff Merkley's Low Price Drug Act. Yeah, got it. If I may, before you run, ask your thoughts on what's going on right now with Michael Cohen flipping apparently on Donald Trump, and it looks like apparently right up to the day of the election. In fact, even after the election, Donald Trump was trying to negotiate a hotel in Moscow. It looks like his plan was lose the election. I mean, he didn't even have an acceptance speech written. Lose the election, and then immediately, off the fame of being the Republican candidate, immediately open your hotel in Moscow and become richer and richer and richer. And he like sold out his country for a hotel.
Well, it
looks that way to me.
Anymore.
I'm sorry.
It's just been such an extraordinary set of conflicts of interest that extend to this day, because even as president, he's involved in taking money from all kinds of propositions where foreign governments are happy to steer businesses his way. Yeah. And this, of course, is basically banned by the Constitution, and yet there's just no shame. No shame, no integrity. It's what we have. It's why we have to make sure that he's not reelected in 2020.
Yeah, at the very least. Yeah, absolutely. Senator Jeff Merkley, Senator, thanks so much for dropping by today. It's great. It's always great talking with you. You're always welcome here.
Thom. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Take care.
Senator Merkley's website is merkley.senate.gov. You can tweet him at SEN Jeff Merkley, Merkley. One of the really great members of Congress. And I'm so glad he's my senator.